Awesome. So, welcome everyone who's here watching this founder story for Epi-Canna. I had the pleasure of working with Bryce to help develop this amazing movement that is going to touch the entire globe. We're talking about turning passion into taking a father's passion and turning it into a mission. And I have Bryce here. This is about his amazing company that he started, a full spectrum CBD movement to help people with neurological disorders. And we're here to interview him and at the same time really give you a better understanding around any of the myths or any of the concepts you had about CBD and all of the things that are centered around it. So we have here Bryce Allen. Let's welcome him in and thank you again for just allowing me to come into this with you, even though I help you develop this brand with our company, also to even unify our fronts to push this work. Because when I found out more about what you have to offer, it just blew me away. So, Bryce, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the conversation.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, so talk to us a little bit about what Epicana is, how you got started, from the foundational level, and then we'll go to more into some of the questions. But what started this? What was the driver behind Epicana? Why did you even decide to create such an awesome company like this?
Honestly, Epi-Canna was founded. I created this more so out of a necessity than like a business goal or chasing money. My daughter has refractory epilepsy, and for people who don't know what that is, that's the scientific term for drug resistant, and that means that she didn't respond well to your typical seizure medications. So for the last year, it's been just a struggle to try to find something to, give her some sort of relief from her condition. And I come across CBD after doing a bunch of research, and we implemented it into her care plan and saw great results from it. And to me, it was just so eye opening what something like that could do. I saw what it did for my daughter, and I knew it would help other people. Um, but the thing with CBD is there's still a stigma around it and an overall lack of awareness. And that's where I came up with the idea to build a company to help educate people on what CBD is and how it can potentially benefit their lives. People who are living with,
Yeah.
debilitating conditions like epilepsy or like Alzheimer's, just pretty much any neurological condition that hampers people's lives.
Wow. So you're not even necessarily no expert in the space. You're really building this from the experiences that you have and have seen results within your own daughter
Right.
with what you have done. This was the motivation.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm not a scientist myself. I'm not a healthcare professional. Um, all I have to offer to people is my own testimony on how this product helped my daughter.
Wow. Wow. I love that. So we want to dive a little bit into some of the questions that I had for you.
Hmm.
So we're talking about your mission and vision. So your company was founded to help people with neurological conditions like epilepsy, as you mentioned, and
Yeah,
other things among that are associated. But how do you see your role contributing to this mission?
really, my whole goal is to help get CBD in front of as many people that need it.
Mm,
There's a lot of people out there living with conditions that CBD could potentially help them with. They probably just don't even know that it even exists. And even if they've heard about it before, they don't know what it could offer them.
wow. Okay. Um, and and you mentioned just the fact that like people are afraid of it. They have heard stigmas about it, but now you have something to where you're not only bringing a solution, you're also bringing a product alongside it. Then that goes into my second question. So, what do you think are the biggest challenges like facing the CBD industry, especially regarding medical applications for epilepsy and other neurological disorders?
Yeah, so I would say that really the federal government and its war on cannabis originally, um, made it hard for people to even dive into scientific studies on what cannabis could do, for people with different medical conditions. Now, CBD and cannabis are different.
Mhm.
However, CBD gets lumped into the same category, and
Mhm.
I think that alone kind of makes people believe that CBD is like a recreational drug.
Wow.
Um, and of course, it's not that. And part of this movement is helping people understand that. But really, there's just a lot of gray area and regulation and legislation at the federal level and at across all 50 states. It's different. Nobody's really on the same page about it, and that makes it difficult for people to really get into some of those more in-depth scientific studies to really show people what CBD is and how it could be therapeutic for a multitude of conditions.
Wow. I love the mission statement. I'm looking at this amazing site that we came together to help you create and design. But we talked about turning pain into purpose one family at a time. Can you just tell me about the resonance behind that? Like, how does that, how was that fostered? Like, talking about turning pain into purpose. Was it
Yeah.
painful to see your daughter in this condition, or taking something that could be bad news to someone else and you turn it into a positive? Can you open up a little bit, just a little bit more about turning pain into purpose one family at a time?
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
And it's not just myself. I know that there's plenty of other parents that, were in my shoes as well. And yeah, pain is the only word I could use to describe the feeling that me, my wife, and my daughter all had when, we were staying in the hospital weeks at a time with no answers, no light at the end of the tunnel. It was looking pretty grim. And
Wow.
that's a painful place to be. It's a dreadful place to be. However, growing from that situation
Yeah,
and turning that into something positive, really it was something, um I almost feel like it was something that I had to do.
wow.
I had to do it for my daughter, and I had to do it for myself even, because I was feeling, horrible,
Mhm.
feeling depressed, feeling just awful. I mean, I can't even put it into words, like the amount of fear that me and my wife both had. So really, once I got to thinking about how I can change my daughter's situation, that's when Epi-Canna was born. It was born out of necessity. Something had to happen. Something had to change, because otherwise, I don't know if my daughter would be the same today or if she would still be here with us.
Wow. So you doing this saved your daughter's life, but also saved the family, your sanity. Man, that's powerful. Thank you for sharing that, Bryce. I know that that's a lot, but for you to open up about that, that's big. Um, so let's switch gears a little bit, talking about regulatory and compliance, right? So CBD regulations vary by region. So
Yeah,
how would you ensure your products remain compliant while still meeting patients' needs, like people who take your stuff? How do you still remain compliant while you're still meeting the needs of people?
absolutely. So back in 2018, there was the farm bill that was passed into legislation at the federal level,
Mhm.
and that made any product that stays within 0.3% THC concentration makes it legal across all 50 states.
Mhm.
And so Epi-Canna and its products all fall within those federal guidelines. So as it stands today, now of course this could always change. The the legislation and the federal government and state governments, I mean, they're always at odds with each other. Stuff is constantly changing. We're gonna have to stay on our toes with that. But as it stands right now, all of our products are federally compliant, and the product that we have now is the product that we use and have seen benefit from, and it's high quality. It's rigorously tested for contaminants and purity. So not only does it pass federal guidelines, but it goes far and beyond that. by testing for other stuff that the federal government really wouldn't, care to talk about either.
Yeah, that's amazing. You took some real deep time to find the right company. Can you talk a little
Yeah,
bit about that?
absolutely.
Like it seemed like I remember just us working on this, you were even before we got together, you were doing rigorous up, hours and hours at a time, even days, just to make sure you had the right thing. Talk to me a little bit about that process to ensuring you found the right company to come alongside, whatever you can share about that.
Yeah. So what I found out in this search is that the CBD industry is still the Wild West. So they do have that 0.3% regulation that you have to fall into.
Mhm.
And as long as you're in that category, you pass that test,
Mhm.
they don't care what else is in it. It can have impurities, it can have contaminants. A lot of these companies are only testing for that 0.3% to make sure that it falls in federal guidelines so they're not going to get charged with a crime.
Wow.
So that was the biggest challenge. And, the people that I chose to partner up with, I did so because of how rigorous their third party testing was. And that's not just for the CBD potency and the THC concentration, right? To show that it's all within federal guidelines,
Hmm.
but they go a step beyond by testing for contaminants, heavy metals, pesticides, pretty much anything that could be detrimental to somebody who already suffers from a neurological condition.
Hmm.
I wanted to make sure that people know what they'll be giving their loved ones or what they'll be taking themselves to help their condition.
Wow.
Yeah. And our
Man,
products are 100% USDA certified organic. And I think that was something that was important to me because I was searching for something that I felt comfortable giving to my own daughter.
wow.
So it had to meet not just the federal government standards, but it had to meet dad standards, right, to give to my daughter. And I knew that um, other people would feel the same way about their children. So that it was of utmost importance to find the absolute highest quality CBD oil that's on the market.
Wow. Thank you so much, Bryce, for your due diligence, not only the layer of making sure you're giving the right stuff, but you're also going to get this stuff to your daughter. So it had to be dad approved. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, so we talk about, so like many of your customers and patients or caregivers are dealing with epilepsy. So how would you approach customer interaction to ensure trust and sensitivity?
Yeah, I think my testimony answers that question. Um, I'm a parent who has a child with epilepsy,
Uh-huh.
so I know what they're going through. Um, I understand how challenging it is, how scary it is, and I'm just grateful that I was able to come across CBD as a
Mm.
treatment. So like I said before, I'm not a scientist or anything like that, but my testimony is what I'm looking to share with people.
Wow. Man, Bryce, man, your testimony, your story is going to change so many lives. Not only are you sharing the awareness, you also have the product that you approve just through your findings, but also the best of the best out there, right? So you're
Yeah,
willing to put your money, your time, your energy into making this happen, and now you have something beautiful that's going to bless the world.